Now, the third area to pay attention to in the cloud broker tech reference model is the cloud management space. So cloud management includes things like service orchestration and provisioning, the resource management functions of managing the pool of cloud resources. It has a reservation and spot buy model for actually reserving capacity for future consumption with defined dates, or I can do spot buy, immediate consumption. I do load balancing, SLA management, monitoring and alerting. Those kinds of things are in the cloud management bucket. We've previously talked about cloud management as a space to watch because cloud management is how you orchestrate and provision services at the API level, and it's at the cloud management layer where the magic of cloud happens. The provisioning, the access to services, the load balancing, the whole resource management and provisioning model happens via cloud management tools. It happens via the cloud management APIs like Amazon EC2, OpenStack, CloudStack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this space is really important. Critical capability for managing resources, key enabler for interoperability, portability, integration, because it's at this API level where that does or does not happen. And the API battles are still underway. The API compatibility that people claim still doesn't ensure interoperability and portability of your resources across APIs or of your apps or your data across clouds or across APIs. So if you're looking at cloud management tools, either within the broker as a capability of the broker, or if you're looking at cloud management tools in and of their own right, do the due diligence on what the vendors are offering and make sure they can meet your requirements. This is a set of cloud management core functions that we've talked about before: the provisioning, the resource management, template orchestration, the virtualization and the APIs, the monitoring and alerting, the interoperability, portability, et cetera. These are things to consider as you're looking at the cloud management tool space, or if you're looking at the cloud management capabilities within a broker platform that you're considering. It's an evolving space. Comparing tools is never going to be easy because they're still, it's a moving target. Getting apples to apples comparisons is hard, but you do need to make sure that the cloud management functions of the broker or the tools that you might be integrating into your broker, make sure they address things like template orchestration, automation and self-service provisioning, the metering, billing, accounting, chargeback hooks. So the management gives you the metering and the how much resource was used. That has to tie into an accounting module that actually converts that to dollars, supports chargeback and some of those kinds of ideas. And of course, security compliance and some of those things. So cloud management is a very, very important part of the function of a broker. It's very much an important part of your overall cloud architecture, whether you're using a broker strategy or not. This ties very closely to the API abstraction and integration functions of the technical reference model of a broker. A broker has to be able to provide API integration services for the providers. It has to allow for multi-cloud abstraction, meaning EC2 APIs, Google APIs, Azure APIs. Those are all exposed via the broker as neutral APIs. You build your apps to the neutral APIs, therefore abstracting you from needing to know the details of Amazon's and Google's and Azure's and Rackspace's and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's why they call it an abstraction layer. So you need to abstract the provider APIs, and ultimately you're abstracting the providers. You're providing catalog integration, so when these providers expose their catalog, you're actually aggregating their catalogs into the service catalog of the broker, and then getting that whole overall service aggregation model. So that's kind of the high-level bucket of cloud API abstraction and integration. This integration layer provides a common development environment for your developers to build native cloud apps using the abstracted APIs rather than getting into the gory details of provider-specific APIs. This insulates the app from changes at the back end on the provider-side APIs, but it also allows you within an application to potentially swap out equivalent services from one provider to another. So the cloud abstraction layers gives you the opportunity to start exploring some of the service arbitrage ideas that are out there, where I can swap out equivalent infrastructure as a service capabilities based on current day pricing, and that I need to be able to have this abstraction model in place to do service arbitrage. Applications developed using the abstracted APIs will be loosely coupled to provider APIs, as I said, using the broker-neutral APIs. So I can swap out the service, I can do arbitrage, and it also helps insulate those apps from technology changes on the provider end, service changes, SLA changes, et cetera. So this is all about how do I develop cloud-native apps using services abstracted via the broker to do what's best for the organization. Now, in this picture, I'm showing a consumer accessing a broker, which again aggregates the services from 3 providers in this case. And you have an option. You need to make sure that the broker has the abstraction and integration capabilities in its native support. If not, you may have to go out and access a open source cloud abstraction library or one of the tools that are out there, and you can bolt that onto your broker strategy. Or at the end of the day, you could build your own abstraction layer if you wanted to. There's a number of choices that you can use as the foundations for those. So the brokers have to provide abstraction services in order to function as a broker, integrating multiple providers, enabling that multi-cloud or that hybrid cloud environment. It has to be able to access provider APIs through a command line interface or some kind of a management console or a UI that developers use to build the apps. And again, there's multiple abstraction layers out there. If you go out and look at Apache Live Cloud, JCloud, Cloudify, which is based on JCloud, Delta Cloud, Simple Cloud. There's a number of these out there. Dell's got a platform that performs this function. There are others out there. So you can get this problem addressed. Your broker has to address it in order for the broker to be a viable solution set. You need cloud abstraction and integration as part of your tool set. So that's the technical reference model discussion here of the cloud broker reference model. Now what I'd like to do is present just some best practice considerations for each of these areas. First, on the organizational side, it's important to formally define your cloud strategy that articulates the goals, the objectives, the payback and ROI for your cloud computing strategy. So too many organizations jump into looking at vendor tools, broker tools. They start consuming cloud services without really having a business-oriented cloud strategy that articulates the strategic objectives, the goals, the business case, et cetera, et cetera. So please take some time to do that. If you haven't got a cloud strategy, download our template for a cloud strategy. Make it easy on yourself. We have a business discovery and a cloud template in our web. Download them. Use those to help quickly get at least some kind of a tactical strategy. But figure out what you really are trying to do. Then, once you've got that done from a broker strategy perspective, get the organizational model, staffing, and the resourcing plan for the organizational foundation of a cloud broker. We've emphasized multiple times today that a broker is as much an organizational and operating model challenge as it is a technology challenge. So really pay attention to the organizational side and how the broker organizational processes are going to work. Third bullet here is make sure you crisply define the business and operating model of being a service broker. There's a business side to this. I mean, you're doing it for a financial reason. You're doing it to enable your business customers to do things better, faster, cheaper. But you're also doing it as part of an operating model. So there's an operations component to this, and those are organizational and process things that you need to consider. Next is be sure that you establish delivery and support processes and capabilities that are on par with best-in-class. You're going to be compared to the best-in-class providers just because you are. Make sure you have support. Make sure that if you're passing support back to your providers, that it's done in a seamless way. So really think through your IT service management processes, your help desk processes, your ticketing processes. Make this the opportunity to grab hold of your customer relationship and own it. Own it like you're desperate to hang on to every customer that you have. And then lastly, the broker organization is essentially creating a marketplace and creating an ecosystem that connects consumers, providers, third-party service providers, et cetera, into your cloud broker ecosystem. So you've got to maintain that marketplace. That means you've got to keep the web portal fresh, new content, new ideas. You've got to market these capabilities through an outreach program, do education, do awareness, do webinars like this internally to your organization. You get the picture. It's a lot that you need to think about from an organizational perspective. On the technology side, some important considerations. You have to figure out first and foremost whether a broker is right for you, and if it is, determine whether you're going to build or buy this brokering model. If you're going to buy one of the commercial platforms that are out there, like a Graviton, like a Jamcracker, Service Mesh kinds of things, there's a Perio, there's other options out there, right? But if you're going to consider buying a commercial platform, compare it against this reference model and see that they have the appropriate capabilities in the 4 technical functional areas, and make sure that they enable organizationally the organizational things that you've got to do. Weaknesses in any of these 4 could be a problem for enabling your cloud strategy to be realized. It's important to understand the integration technology that's being used for the API abstraction and how these various broker tools provide that. Is the broker using some kind of an ESB technology as their API abstraction and integration mechanism? How are they doing the integration? Are they OEMing some of the open source tools to provide that capability? It really does matter to make sure that they are able to accommodate these things. And you might ask out of the box, how many providers does your broker support? Does it support like 30 plus, like the open source abstraction layer tools provide today, or does it support 5 or 10? Does it support the right 5 or 10 that you need? So that's kind of the third bullet here: ensure coverage for the key APIs, public cloud providers, private clouds, etc. How easy is it to add providers? How easy is it to add services? Are they already all supported in the broker platform? Next is understand the cloud management technology. So again, as one of the 4 capabilities in the tech reference model, make sure that the cloud management functions of your broker stack are rich, provide you all of the orchestration, provisioning requirements, and then some. Make sure they've got the hooks for management and monitoring. Make sure that they support the metering and billing requirements by tracking consumption at the resource level. All those kinds of things matter. Make sure that there's, again, from an API abstraction perspective, make sure that the neutral broker APIs are going to work for your developers. So that's important. They're developing to the broker APIs, not the provider APIs. So understand how all these APIs map to one another, how they manage change of the APIs to the back end and present them to the consumers. All these things are going to be important. Lastly, the marketplace functions are the most mature of the cloud broker reference model capabilities, but they're important. This is how you present your face to your customers and market these new services, this new capability. So make sure that these cloud business functions, business and marketplace functions are in place and very robust. Some things to do tomorrow. Considerations. Define your strategy. Said that before, say it again. Your strategy is not implement a broker. Your cloud strategy is a business-oriented strategy. The broker might be a tactic or a objective of your cloud strategy. It might be a deployment feature of your strategy, but it's not your strategy. Consider the broker organization design and process design requirements with the same, or better yet, with more vigor than you will apply to the technology evaluations. The process, the organization, the skills are going to be what makes the difference. Understand the vendor and technology landscape of the broker middleware categories in accordance with the cloud broker technical reference model we presented. That should give you a good start. And don't forget about governance. The governance lifecycle we developed gives you an end-to-end view you could start with and flesh it out. That gives you the opportunity to use this broker nexus to drive not only an end-to-end cloud governance lifecycle, but it's an opportunity to get a centralized point of accountability and policy enforcement for your governance model. As we said before, brokers offer opportunity, but there are risks, and you don't take lightly this transition to becoming a broker provider for your enterprise. So that's all I have for the content. I've mentioned a number of AgilePath solutions and services that we offer. We have additional reference materials on our website, all these white papers and things. With that, we can take some questions if there are any from the audience for a few minutes.
Hi, Eric. We do have one question that came in. It is, how can the IT organization as the cloud broker help to sustain the business stakeholders' involvement in cloud application planning?
So that's a great question. That gets best accomplished by a proactive outreach sessions, staying out front of the business during their requirements planning processes, knowing what their program portfolio is up front, targeting which programs to get involved with early in the requirement stage, and offering to them a set of skills and expertise that they can't get anywhere else. So this is kind of a staffing challenge. You've got cloud app architects are hard to find. You have to develop your own. But it's getting the upfront early visibility to the projects that could use these and trying to get embedded resources on those project teams if you can. You may actually build a cloud professional services, small services organization that will support the business, and you can hopefully embed resources in those teams. I think that helps answer that question.
Great. That was the one question that did come in, and perfect timing. It is 1 o'clock. Would you like me to wrap up?
I think unless there's any other questions that pop in, I know I've covered a lot of content today. We appreciate everybody joining, and by all means, send any questions or comments back to us. And we hope to see you in a month for our next webinar that will be talking about scaled agile governance and risk and compliance environments. So stay with us. We have some more content coming in about 30 days.
Great. Thanks so much, Eric. And we'd like to take this time to thank everyone for joining us today. If you are interested in learning more about AgilePath's capabilities and solutions, please visit our website at agile-path.com. Thank you again for attending this AgilePath webinar, and hope everyone has a great day.